All right, here we go. Raekwon the chef. Welcome back to VladTV.
What up, Vlad? What's good? What's good?
Hey, man, it's been about a decade since our last one.
Damn,
Thank you so much
a
for coming
decade?
back.
It been 10 years?
It's been about that, yeah.
God
yeah.
damn, bro.
Yeah.
That's a minute.
Yeah,
That's
man.
a minute, man. That's a long time, bro.
It's been a minute. It's been a minute, man. Congratulations on everything you've done since then.
Thank you, man.
And most of all, congratulations to the new book, From Staircase to Stage.
No doubt. No doubt. Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
And that title is from the song Incarcerated Surfaces, which is actually my favorite Raekwon song ever.
There you go. That's what's up. That's what's up. Word. And see what's so crazy, I didn't even think about that like that. I didn't even realize when I came up with the title that for the book that it resurrected with that. It resonated with that. So, wow, from staircase to stage, minimum wage shit. Yeah, you right. You right.
Yeah. Soon to get an article on Rap Page.
There you go. There you go.
All right. So, we've done interviews before, but I really want to focus on the book because I feel this is really the first time that the world got to see the reality of Raekwon. We heard you on the records, the Hulu series gives a certain amount of insight, but there's certain things that are different than what actually happened. So I want to get into the real Raekwon story.
There you go.
Okay, so you grew up in New York, originally Brownsville, and then you moved to Staten Island.
Yeah.
Okay, and you were primarily raised by your mom, and in the book, you said that you never actually met your dad until you were 6, and that was only once.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, I was too young to really understand what happened, understand what was going on in the situation. He wasn't really around. So, how I go back then, the 70s, it was real, parents wasn't really pairing up like that back then. It was what it was, and back to the streets, My dad was always in that world. He was on some gangster shit from what my cousins and them told me, a stick-up kid, a hustler, and at the same time, the drugs was big back in Brooklyn back then. So, I'm hearing stories, later on, he was on heroin, he always was fly though, they said. They said he dressed his ass off, but he was just a stone cold crook,
Yeah.
So,
when you listen to the lyrics of Can It All Be So Simple, when you say, yeah, my pops was a fiend since 16, shooting that's that shit in his bloodstream, that's a real lyric, actually.
Absolutely, no doubt.
So, here you are in the 80s, the crack era hits New York, and, according to the book, you jump into that head first.
I wouldn't really call it jumping in it like that. It was just a part of my growing up thing, We grew up around those times where, once that crack epidemic hit, it really fucked up a lot of shit. Like, it fucked communities up. So we was just living in the community, youngsters going to school, niggas come home with a fresh pair of sneakers on, and then you see a fly pair of sneakers on a nigga feet who really don't got money like that, and telling you, yo, I went down the block and I made $100 or $150 automatically. To any kid, he's going to adapt to that. He's going to say to himself, yo, how can I get $100? So for us, it wasn't no career thing. It was more like a phase, a phase that was taking place in our communities, And I remember, a couple of years before that, everything was smooth. It was like, it was a nice place to live, nice people, of course. But once that crack shit hit and I seen that shit on TV, like, yo, it's this new epidemic. It's almost like the news was promoting this shit, Next thing you know, I find myself coming outside and it's loaded with fiends out there just looking for this drug. So, of course, me and my friends, we want to make money. We want to explore. We even want to try it out because we hear it's the shit. This was way before, we even knew about motherfuckers, really beaming and all this shit and, hitting the pipe. We talking about the cracks and weed era. So, of course, for us, it wasn't a drug to tear nobody down. It was more of a drug that just got you high, and it was an expensive drug. But nobody knew it was going to start damaging people the way it did. But for us, we was getting fly, mixing it with weed. Back then we was, sniffing blow and all that shit. Just young, wild kids at the age of 14, 13, 14, 15. That was the time frame.
Yeah, and at one point it got so bad for you when I guess like your aunt kicked you out of her house and you ended up having to actually live with one of the crack users.
Yeah.
And that really seemed like a low point when I was reading the book.
Yeah. I mean, you know, my aunt never kicked me out, you know. I think you got a little messed up, but what it was she let me stay there. But my mom's had kicked me out and I went over to my aunt's spot. You know, my aunt, she, you know, her sister, she loved me to death. She was like, yo, you'll never be out in the street as long as I'm here. She was like, yo, the only thing I need you to do is just be in this house by 9 o'clock. You know, because my doors is locked. I got to go to work, you know, and you ain't going to be knocking on my door like that. She wasn't giving up no keys or nothing that. So for me, I just had to make a decision like, yo, do I make my aunt stress out and be banging on her door 1 o'clock in the morning? Because I know I'm not going to be there at no 9 o'clock. That's not happening. So I think I chilled with her for about probably like 4 days. And then I decided to just find somewhere else to rest my dome at, you know?
Yeah. Well, there was a situation when you got into it with some guy on the block and you went and got your cousin Unique to go handle it. And that turned into the first time you actually saw someone get shot in front of you.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it was more like I heard it. I didn't see actually what happened. I just heard the blast. You know, this was my cousin. This was a good friend of his too. You know, they was running in the street together doing whatever they was doing. And you know, when you still little, you had the older niggas that really like to fuck with us in the hood. You know what I mean? They catch us in the elevator. It's like it's straight body shots, blows, kicking you, punching on you or whatever the case may be. And we was used to that. It's just that day I wasn't in the mood. And, you know, some of the older cats around the hood, it was this thing in the hood we call chop, where they chop you on your neck. You know what I mean? Like, so you could be walking by, and next thing you know, you get a real heavy hand chop on your neck. So you know, they was playing that day. I remember it clear as day. And I'm like, yo, I punched him in his stomach real quick. Yo, stop playing. I ain't playing today. So, you know, they jumped me a little bit, beat me up, laughing and all of that. And I just told my cousin, because he was upstairs, like, yo, man, niggas keep playing with me, man. He was like, yo, what happened? What's wrong? It's like, nah, man, yo, blah, blah, blah. And I mean, he knew that these was the neighborhood bullies in the hood. So he went down there to go see what's going on. And I remember him grabbing a fly fat trait pound, you know what I mean? And it was like, me, I know it wasn't that serious, but that's how it was in the hood. That's how niggas move. If they feel like it's an issue, you know, niggas gonna go get they slammers and come and see what's going on. But what had happened was, it wasn't my cousin's peoples that was bothering me at the time. It was his cousins, you know, his man's cousins. So, you know, I guess he came over to see why my cousin screamed on these dudes and told them like, yo, stop playing. And they got into it. And the next thing you know, two friends going at it. And, you know, I just heard a shot go off. Bow. You know what I mean? And that was that situation, you know? And I'm talking about the dude was a stand-up dude. You know what I mean? Because I guess for him, he was looking at my cousin like, yo, nigga, you know me. You know how we get down. This don't gotta go no way, but at the end of the day, they started to argue or whatever in their own little way. And it just turned up a little bit and they both got excited and it was on and popping, you know? But to today, they homies now. You know what I mean? They homies. You know, it wasn't even that serious back then, but it was that serious at the moment for them. And like I told you, once homie got hit, he came right to my cousin's house. Like real rap, like by himself, like, yo. And my aunt was in there and all of that. So, you know, my aunt was like, he ain't here. And he didn't want to hear that. He wanted to get up in that house. So, you know, banging on the door. Boom, boom, boom. Next thing you know, he come to the door with a shotty. She like, boy, you better get away from my goddamn door with this shit. What the hell you talking about? And you know, he was respecting my aunt still. Gunshot wound and all that. He ain't worrying about it. He just like, yo, where he at? Where your son at? Still being respectful though. So for me, it was just like a young kid just watching all of this. And the first time really seeing a reaction from two friends having this altercation. And it's like, when he walked away with the shotty on his shoulder on some F-Troop shit. And he just let off a shot in the hallway, like, bang, and walked away, though. So, me and my aunt was just bugging off of it, though, like this nigga's crazy. But at the end of the day, they worked it out. It wasn't really, back then, let me tell you something. Back then, those kind of men back then were different. They didn't care about telling police anything. They dealt with whatever they felt they had to deal with. But for the most part, they were friends. And they were able to get past that down the line. You know what I mean? And to me, that's how I look at them as being solid, because a lot of people can't take an altercation and get shot and try to, after that, become friends again. But later on the line, that wound up happening to me. So.
Okay, and then there was a situation where you got shot in the legs. And what was interesting about that whole situation is that the guy who shot you called you to apologize, and that guy later on became one of your family members because he ended up having,
exactly,
there was like an in-law situation where, you ended up getting really hurt.
Yeah, I mean, it was an accident. It was really a real deal accident. Like, I just wanted to stand around and see what was going on, see if it was going to really become something. And everything just seemed like it happened real quick. And everybody got off the pole and walked across the street. But I walked in the building and was looking through the lobby at it. Looking through the lobby, watching them get ready to get into whatever they get into. Because at that point, nobody was trying to stop it at that point. Nobody knew what they was going through. They just know that they got it going on with each other and it's about to be something. So yeah, the bullets came flying through the lobby. God bless the dead, my man, 2 Cent, he was running through the lobby and the bullets was coming right behind him, and I just happened to be there in the hall. And they were coming, so it was so many shots coming through. Like, the only thing I could really do was try to hit the floor and kind of crawl out of that area, because I wasn't going to just stand there and just you know what I mean? I had to get on my army camouflage shit, and try to crawl, and the bullets ricocheted off the wall and inside the lobby and tagged me in both legs. So it's so crazy that they was right under my knee. So really, it could have really damaged your boy, like walking perspective right now to the fullest. I would have been washed on the walking tip, but it was right under my knee, and it took a long time for these wounds to heal on me. But it was an accident,
Well, at one point, you and RZA started to hang out, and he started to put the Wu-Tang together. So RZA, Jizza, and Old Dirty Bastard, they were already family. So that's that part of the clique. You brought in Method Man. Inspector Deck had just gotten home from prison, and then you got in Capadonna were in jail selling drugs, for selling drugs. So they were locked up at the time. So as he's putting everything together, so the Wu-Tang name was a name that the Stapleton guys were using amongst themselves, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So as he's putting this crew together and everyone's kind of getting along, he brings in Ghostface, who is from Stapleton. And Park Hill, where you're from, and Stapleton were sworn enemies.
They wasn't sworn enemies. It was just they didn't fuck with each other. They was, kids that went to school that was from different projects. So, if you don't rock with this side, you don't rock with them. So when they come around, it's like, back then it was all about representation and, yo, that nigga, he from the hell. What he doing over here? Yo, them niggas from Stapleton, fuck them niggas. It was that kind of thing, but it was kind of like a traditional beef that they had with each other, just because they felt that they all was going to school together. So, this nigga was nice with his hands. So, he from Stapleton, so automatically a nigga from the Hill that's nice with his hands want to test his hand game and vice versa. So it was just a lot of growing up shit. This was a way that, the community was for us. It was like you had to be that person that you say you are. And if you coming from a certain neighborhood, your name ring bells, so now the niggas where I'm from, it's like niggas' names ring bells out there. So eventually they gonna clash based on the fact of reputation. And we was just used to that, just watching fights with I'm talking about the older cats coming through. They would be a bunch of like 50 niggas coming from Stapleton, walking up the Park Hill, flipping niggas, and all is niggas is responding, and you see people running down the block with bats and chains and knives, and they was going at it. So this was going on for a long time, way before we even started picking up what was going on. But Stapleton and Park Hill is so close together. It's like Brooklyn. It's like being in Brownsville and niggas got beef with niggas in Bed-Stuy. That's just how neighborhoods are. They only represent where they from, and that's it. If you ain't from here, get out the way.
Well, Ghostface, according to your book, was actually part of a notorious stick-up crew in Stapleton. And in fact, he had actually cut a guy's face that you knew.
Yeah, youngster. Yeah, you know what I mean? A little hustler. It was a kid that, he was on the block. He wasn't running with us, but he was out there running around us. And he got caught. He ran into Ghosts and his outlaws. And they was on they shit. That's what they specialize in. They specialize in waxing niggas and catching you, and Shorty got caught. He wasn't a little kid, but he was a youngster. And I guess he didn't recognize the code, and he got hit with one, you know what I mean? And next thing you know, it was like, yo, Blasey Blah did it, you know what I mean? So he wore it like a champ, and Shorty put the H on his back and handled it, and realized he had got caught out there.
Well, then there was a more recent situation, as you guys were forming the group, where Ghostface got into it with your partner, Jamie, and that went totally crazy.
Yeah, I mean, at that time, Ghost was still running around with his set, doing what he loved to do. And Ghost is a bully, man. Like, that's just how they were. They was just real stick-up gunmen type of dudes that's all we knew was to be that way. So for him, he got into a situation with my man over Devon, over something that Devon and my man had a problem with. And, he was more or less trying to help out his man, help out Devon in a way. Like, yo, you got any problems, nigga, call me. You know what I'm saying? Like, and Devon never really called him. He never, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't that serious, but just knowing that my guy was a get down dude and they bump heads, it was just a situation that happened. And next thing you know, before you know it, they mouthing off with each other, and one thing led to the next. So.
Right. Well, and the things that led to it was they got into an argument. Ghost actually started shooting at Jamie at his mother's house.
Mm-hmm.
And then Jamie turned around and shot up Ghost's mother's house.
Well,
right?
Yeah, you know what I mean? It was an eye for eye situation. It was like, yo, you shot at my crib, so that's what it was. You know what I mean? And that's how it played out. Well, I wasn't even there that day, though. I wasn't around that day, to see what was going on. And like I said, we knew that Ghost knew RZA and Devon, but we didn't really know that he knew him the way he knew him. Because like I said, RZA would hang in the Hill. He would be in Stapleton. He would be in New Brighton. He would be all over. So you don't know everybody RZA know. But these dudes love RZA the way I love RZA, the way we love RZA. So it was a situation that got out of hand real quick, and it was just a lot of anger with those two men. And next thing you know, RZA came in and had to really dead the shit because he loved both sides. And they stood up like real men and really let it fly and be like, yo, the past is the past. Nobody got hurt, thank God. And niggas moved on like real men and became close, became real cool after that.
You know, you guys start putting together the music. You know, Protecting That comes out, blows up. You know, Method Man blows up. You guys sign to Loud Records. And then, you know, history starts to begin at this point.
Absolutely.
You know, one of the things that was really interesting is that, you know, you said that you guys would come to shows 300 deep. And one of the things that really stood out in the book is that you guys would roll with dudes who were ready to go to jail if they didn't get into the club.
Yeah.
And apparently, occasionally some bouncers would end up getting stabbed. So clubs were scared to book Wu-Tang at a certain point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you know, back then, the roaring 90s was serious. And for us, coming from Staten Island, we had everything to prove because we was the forgotten borough. We was the borough that wasn't mentioned all the time in the live spots in the city. You know, and they start yelling out, yo, Brooklyn in the house, Queens in the house, Bronx in the house, Manhattan in the house. You know, nobody mentioned Staten Island. So, you know, a lot of Staten Island niggas took that shit personal. Like, yo, what the fuck is going on here? You know what I mean? They ready to flip the DJ just for even mentioning that because you're not mentioning us. So back then it was a lot of competitive borough shit going on. You know, everybody wanted to be heard, everybody wanted to be supported, but Staten Island was like at its lower tier of being heard. So when it was time for us to come out and shine, it was like now everybody feel like, yeah, remember us? You know what I mean? So now it's an ego thing, it's a reputation thing, it's a representing thing, you know. So that was our mentality when we went in clubs. It was like, yo, before we leave, y'all gonna know what Staten Island stand for. You know, don't get it twisted just because you gotta get on the ferry and come over there and think that we don't live the same way y'all live. You know, because that was really only the difference. Like driving to Staten Island to Brooklyn is only 20 minutes. But when you got to take that boat, that ferry and all that, that's 30 to 35, 40 minutes right there. So a lot of times people ain't have vehicles to drive. So everybody's on the boat. And back then the boat was rocking because downstairs, that's where the older niggas like, it was like they took over the bottom of the boat. Like I'm talking about, remind you, this is when I'm young. So, you know, I'm reflecting back when I was 14, 15, 16 years old, when it was like that, when the ferry was rocking. I'm talking about it be blasting music, boxes, brothers rolling up joints, you know, chicks on the bottom. Everybody was just having fun down there, listening to hip hop, you know, but at the same time, it'd be a couple of rumbles on the boat, you know, with rivals or whatever the case may be. And you couldn't really do nothing because you going across the water. So whatever happens on that boat is going to be on that boat unless somebody got thrown off that motherfucker. But that never became the situation. But all I can remember was it was like the projects riding on the boat, you know, back and forth to the city.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, you guys go on your first tour and, you know, all of the Wu-Tang members are really gelling and they're bonding and everyone's becoming close friends and close brothers and you're doing shows together and you're wilding out in hotels and everything is going good. And then out of nowhere, You God's son gets shot in Stapleton. And I remember I interviewed You God about this. Allegedly, the dude actually used his son as a human shield. There was a shooting involved and someone actually used your son as a human shield.
Yeah, on some sucker shit. Yeah. This is what I was told.
Allegedly, I mean, you know,
allegedly, we're not sure. We're not sure. But that's he said yeah, he had heard something like that as well. And what I didn't realize, you know, when I interviewed You God, was that the dude who did the shooting was one of Ghostface's boys.
Wow.
So that set off. So all the bonding really kind of came to a head at that point, and you guys had to convince You God not to go run back and get revenge.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, you know, we just came to a fly truce and really wanted to accept our peoples in Stapleton, like our peoples wanted to accept us from Park Hill. Like it was almost like Ghost was a representative of Stapleton and we were representatives of the Hill. So just when we were starting to become cool and feel like, yo, we could sleep in the same room together, this happens. So I remember, U-Guard was very tight that day. We was on the road. I remember, he got the call and, he came to the front of the bus. We was on tour. At least that's what I could recall. And he was very, very upset about that. And he was making calls like, yo, I'm going back home. And this is the time we was about to blow. We was really on our getting famous shit. So nobody wanted to see something negative come in between what was going on with us and what happened. But this is his kid. This is his child that was being babysitted by a friend of his, and how do you tell a man not to go do what he feel if that's what it is when it comes to his kids? So we just kept telling him like, yo, just look into it, man. You know what I mean? See what really happened. It wasn't like the shots were for his kid. One thing about bullets in the streets, bullets fly where they want to go. They go to addresses they feel they want to go. And his son happened to get hit. And I remember that, U-Guard really was on his by himself shit on the tour because he felt like, damn, he was confused. He was hurt. His son, and we all felt that. Even Ghost felt that. And, Ghost ain't know what was going on or whatever the case may be. But U-Guard, he's a man, he was going to deal with it according to how he felt he was going to deal with it. And unfortunately, he just took the L and was like, I see the bigger picture. I see something positive in my road right now where I'm not going to let my emotions affect what's going on right now. So,
yeah.
It was a serious time. But back then, I ain't see U-Guard smile for probably maybe a year since all that happened. Like he would be on the bus, he would have his crazy face. You look at him, yo, what's wrong, man? You good? Nah, I'm all right. Just let him be. You know what I mean? Because we don't know what he's going through, but we know what he's going through. So it was a tough situation for him. But thank God his kid came out okay, Yeah. To this day, too, his kid is doing excellent, too. Very smart kid.
Dope.
Shout out UG son. That's my little man's right there. Good kid.
Well, the first Wu-Tang album comes out. It does really well. And then you go and sign your solo deal. And I think one of the dopest things that I read in the whole book was that you signed a solo deal with Loud Records for $500,000. And the plan was to have, Ghostface all over the album, but you actually gave him half of your advance. You gave him $250,000. I don't know anyone that would have done that. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, I'll break you off something or we'll share in the royalties, but you actually gave him half of your advance when you were not a mega millionaire at that point. And I just think that was so dope. And the final project really reflected that, I feel. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, when I tell you it's a half a ticket, that ain't mean that I actually stepped off with $500,000. That's what people get it twisted at. They think they hear these big numbers and they automatically think that that's how much money you cashed in on. It wasn't like that. The deal was $500,000. And at the end of the day, we had to get the record done with that $500,000. And when it came down to it being my situation, it was like, yo, I know me and this dude is so close right now, and me and him got a crazy vibe, and I just wanted to have him involved with it. So it was one of those things like, yo, he knew it was my time, and at the end of the day, me and him had a relationship, and I'm like, yo, you coming with me on this, right? It's like almost like telling your man, like, if I eat, you eat. And me and him was close like that. So it was to the point where it was like, yo, I want to make sure he right with it too, because he gonna join me on this. So that was something that RZA seen the chemistry in us and said, you know what? I respect that. You know what I mean? So automatically my deal became our deal, you know, because I always was the type of person that was all about team. You know, I never wanted to be feeling like, yo, I'm doing it alone, you know? Not like I couldn't do it alone. It was just that I was looking at it like the team thing, and me and Ghost had the perfect chemistry within the group. So it's
Yeah.
like, you know how it is. You know your niggas. You love all your niggas, but it's one nigga that you like, damn, me and this nigga's like day and night. And everybody knew that. Everybody, the whole crew, they seen that. They felt that. They respected what we had going on. And I just brought him in. I'm like, yo, you coming? He was like, what? You already know. Wherever you go, I go. So me and them had that Al Capone, Frank Nitti vibe going on, you know, where it was like, that's how I was looking at it, where, yeah, I'm a Killer Hill smart nigga, and you a Stapleton assassin. And this chemistry right here is going to really show another side of what Wu-Tang can bring to the table outside of the collective. So me and Ghost is already scheming on how we want to make this play with this album coming to fruition. So he pretty much followed my hand on the orders that I threw out there, far as, yo, this is how this album is going to be made. I'm going to take niggas down a cinematic road because, you know, we about that life. We about wearing silks and this and that. And the whole Wu-Tang Clan wasn't about that. But that was my chamber. And Ghost recognized my chamber and said, I'm in. And then next thing you know, he was signed in.
Well, one of the things you mentioned in the book was that you and Ghost were talking one day, and he had mentioned he got with Aaliyah, and it was like a no big deal.
Yeah, he broke my heart with that, man. Cause you know, rest in peace, Aaliyah. Aaliyah is beautiful, you know. Word. Ghost had bagged her, you know what I'm saying? And I remember we had a mansion in LA, and you know, I used to talk to Ghost a lot about like, yo, word, you bagged that? Like, yo, bring it to the lab, like, you know, bring some friends over, whatever the case may be. And one day I guess I took a nap that day, and I was walking through the crib. Next thing you know, I seen him and Aaliyah sleep in the chair. I'm like, you know what I mean? I wake him up, like, yo, what's up, nigga? What's going on? He was like, nah, I'm just catching some rest though. You know, I was just laughing. I'm like, yo, you a wild cat, man. They were just sitting in the chair together, just laid out. Like, I was like, wow, word. But nah, he respected Aaliyah. Like, he really liked her. And it could have been just some friendship thing, but, you know, like I said, we liked Aaliyah's music. We liked what she was doing. And yeah, I think they had like a little crush thing going on, a little baby crush going on, you know?
Dope. Okay, so you guys are working on the album, and then one of the skits on the album is the shark skit.
Right.
And, you know, just to kind of show what happened, you know, you guys were big Nas fans. Illmatic came out and was like a nuclear bomb in hip hop. And you then reached out to Nas, who fucked with you as well, and Nas was on your album.
Right.
You know, he showed up on one of the songs.
Absolutely.
And you guys love Nas. So Ghostface goes on this, you know, skit on the album where he basically, you know, without naming names, he pretty much dissed Biggie for having a similar album cover as Nas.
Right.
So showing the, you know, and I
Rest
think
in
what was
peace,
dope,
B.I.G.,
as you mentioned in the book, was that the night before Biggie got killed, Ghost went, you know, you guys hooked up, and Ghostface approached Biggie and said, yo, I just want to let you know, man, that we love you. We ain't got no problems with you. We ain't on that. Yo, I hope you feel my sincerity and know at the end of the day, if I offended you in any kind of way, I apologize.
Real rap. That's definitely how it went down, man. Because, you know, at that time, like I said, when Ghost said what he said, it wasn't nothing premeditated. It was him going in there doing skits, and we in the control room, and he say what he say. But I'm gonna tell you why he said it. And we had a certain respect for Nas. We was one of the guys that really rooted for Nas to be that guy in New York City, one of the illest MCs. So when we met him, it was like a bond. It was like a brotherhood. You know, we had a lot of respect for him. You know, me and Nas, of course, we connected, and then eventually I introduced him to Ghost and, you know, the other fellas in the crew, and me and Ghost really respected him. It's like seeing somebody that's one of those dudes way ahead of his time, and now the world see Nas today as one of the best. And he is one of the best in my eyes when it comes to doing what he do. So it was a love thing that was going on. And I guess that we didn't really know that Nas had a super relationship with Big neither. We just only know he got a relationship with us too. We know he know niggas, but we fuck with him. So I guess whenever Ghost went up in the studio, you know, Big had around that time, you know, showed his album cover. And, you know, that became a conversation in the van sometimes. Like, yo, damn, didn't Nas do a baby picture now? He doing a baby picture. You know what I mean? So it wasn't like an enemy type of vibe going on. We love Big. You know what I mean? We love Bad Boy. It's just that that's what Ghost felt at that time. He went in the studio. He started talking, yo, we need a skit. We need it today. It got to get done now. And he just started talking about biting and this and that. And then he went into what he went into. So even when he said it, it was like we all in the control booth like, this could go left or right. But at the end of the day, we were wild niggas still. So it was like, yo, that's what you said. It makes sense. You know, we was taught in hip hop, you know, biting niggas shit or getting too close to a nigga shit is a no-go. So what he stood for, what he meant is like, yo, we seen that already. Why come behind it and do something in the same way? He said it. It was like, yo, we know this could be a little issue down the line, but it is what it is. Now, for me, I know to a degree I was a part of that skit because, yeah, no biting, man. We, you know, that was just what we wanted niggas to know about our style. Like, yo, this is our shit. We talk this way. So we ain't want to hear another nigga talk in the same way we talk. And when he said it, it was like, we knew that later on it could be an issue about it, but we didn't care. We were 25, we was fresh, we was getting it, you know, and one thing about New York City niggas, we all competitive, whether we like you or not. It's just competition. If it goes somewhere, then that's something else. But it was always about the sport, you know, being able to get back at all the times that Staten Island niggas wasn't getting no rep, wasn't getting no shine. So now that we up in the front, it's like, yo, now we watching everything. Niggas using your lines, niggas saying shit that you say, niggas using your slang, XYZ. So when Ghost said it, it's like he stood on principles. He didn't have time to think about, damn, I'm dissing this nigga. You know what I'm saying? And we knew who we was talking about. It was evident. But we was like, yo, we gonna let it play out and see where it go.
Right. And then when he said that to Big, you know, you even came back, you know, came around and said, yo, Big, it's all love. Like, it's all love.
Yeah.
And Big was like,
Now,
he said, nah, man, don't worry. I ain't thinking about that shit. You know,
now
whatever,
look,
we cool. Let's have a drink. And y'all talked about doing a song together.
Absolutely. Now, like you said, that came later on down the line after really both of us realizing like, yo, we really love this dude. Like, he's one of the best in the city. He, you know, he's one of the best in the game at this point. So we knew he was ill and we didn't want no conflict. But at the end of the day, it was so much turbulence around each other's crews and all that, that we never really wanted it to escalate to nothing because we knew it was a certain relationship that we all had. You know, Meth was rocking with Big. You see, he was on Big first album. You know, we did the Jodeci joint. You know, Jodeci was signed to Bad Boy. Meth had did the record with Mary. They signed the Bad Boy. So it was like two families that was blowing up, that at the end of the day, this ain't really a beef. We ain't gonna take it there because we all love each other and respect each other. So that's what it was. And that day out in LA was a place that we all was hanging out that night, and we seen Big. So, you know, me and Ghost felt like this was the time to really go approach the homie and just tell him, yo, bro, we love you. That shit ain't about nothing. Anything you need, vice versa. We here for you. We know you here for us. And Ghost just was like, yo, he just kept it real. Yo, man, I just want to say sorry, man. You know what I mean? Felt bad. Like, yo, I love this nigga. He one of us. And Big was at the bar having a drink, and he turned around like, oh shit. Like, y'all nigga, like, yo, he's like, we was laughing and everything. And she's like, yo, don't worry about that bullshit, man. Come on, man. I know what it is, man. Come on, man. We New York niggas, man. It is what it is, man. Competition at its finest. And let it go. And that was the next day we heard the homie got hit. Fucked us up. But anyway, rest in peace to B.I.G. One of the illest, man. One of the illest.
Yeah, one of the best ever. Absolutely.
Ever. That's right. That voice.
Well, yeah.
That
the
voice,
delivery,
that flow, that
wordplay.
Everything, that wordplay, everything. We knew he'd get busy, but like I said, even when we knew that the stakes was high when it came to, confrontation, we knew that he had a gun. We knew that he had a big joint. So we like, yo, this shit could either get on some physical shit or it could get on some lyrical shit. So we always respected what he was about. But I think for me and Ghost that day, it really kind of like, it calmed the storm when it came to what everybody thought it was. Nobody had to tell me and Ghost whatever. We knew he fucked with Meth. Meth never even said nothing to us about it. Like, yo, man, your niggas is wrong. Blah, 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 blah. He never said it to me or Ghost. So I think it was just the fact that me and Ghost just matured up and was like, yo, you know what? You can't front on a real one. You know what I mean? A real one, you gotta salute him. And get that bullshit out the way.
Yep. You guys start working on your second album. And by this time, Wu-Tang really was not the close-knit family that it was before. From what I understand, a lot of people didn't like that double album. A lot of people thought half of it was great, half of it was trash, and people were not really gelling. But the album debuted at #1, went gold his first week, went 4 times platinum, nominated for a Grammy, the biggest Wu-Tang project ever. When I talked to people from the UK, they said that's how the UK got introduced to hip hop, through that second Wu-Tang album. That's what really, set the waves off internationally.
Right.
When you look at that album to this day, do you feel like it's a masterpiece, or do you feel like, I'm glad people like it, but I'm still not digging it?
I'm 50-50 with it, I felt like it was a masterpiece, and then I felt like it wasn't. The reason why I felt like it was a masterpiece, because at that time, it was something different that we brought to the table, far as the collective of Wu-Tang. What doesn't make it a classic to me is the fact that it wasn't 100% of us involved on the creative side like we were with the first one. So, when it wasn't a situation where everybody was putting their input in, automatically it ain't a classic to me no more, because, it's only half of us here talking this shit. And at that time, brothers already had money. Brothers had, American Express cards in their pocket, pulling up in their own little vehicles in their own little world, getting all this love from everybody. It's like after a while, dudes stop coming to practice. Like practice ain't the shit no more, So making that album was like, it was a little fucking, it was off and on moments in it, far as how we felt about the production, some of the rhymes and all of that. But it still wound up being a great album, but it wasn't a cohesive album. Where we all feeling like, yo, this shit is the hit. But we wound up making it the best we could make it, because Riz always had this thing about him where it's like, if you don't like something now, he'd be like, oh, don't worry about it. Yo, when you hear it, next time you hear it, it's going to be this. So we like, all right, we seen you try that method once or twice and it worked. So now it's to the point where we trusting you to change some things that you didn't change. And now when it get down to it, you not changing it. And brothers is like, I thought you was going to freak it better. You know what I mean? So now it's like, it's all right. once you start hearing shit like that in the room and you don't hear, nah, this is it. That's it. That's it right there. You don't hear that no more. It's all right. You knowing at the end of the day, that ain't what the answer you want to hear. So it was a lot of that going on. And then once the final project got composed and all of that, you had a lot of mixed feelings in the room. But that was our second album. So me knowing that that's our second album, I know how important it is to the world, because they like, you did it one time. You did one album. This one gotta blow this one out the water. You know what I'm saying? Gotta blow it. So for me, I wanted it to be a little bit more powerful than what we gave y'all. But it was a double album. It was dope. To this day, I still give it a 79 on the test. That's just me.
Okay.
I give it a 79. You know?
Well, a lot of the book started to talk about how things kind of went south in terms of your relationship with RZA and Wu-Tang management and so forth. And I think the one thing that really stood out was you said that when Wu-Wear was originally launched, every member invested $40,000 into Wu-Wear. At one point, at its height, Wu-Wear was making $25 million a year. And you said to this day, nobody has ever seen a penny from Wu-Wear.
I mean, we didn't, it's not fictional. It happened like that. But for us, it was like letting our brother control a situation that we knew he was good at. And he was a made guy, so it's like everybody trusted him. And he did everything I guess he could do to the power to get it there. But when it came down to the business side of it, a lot of the members still felt like, yo, what's going on? Like, where's my ROI? And I trusted the fact RZA, always going back to RZA, because RZA convinced everybody to invest. And we knew it was a great investment, but it ain't play out the way we thought it was gonna play out. But Wu-Wear started to blow up. It started to blow up. My peoples made it, shout out Power, he made it be what it was supposed to be. It just, when it came down to the business side, dudes was still like, okay. Meaning like, okay, we waiting for an envelope later on, or what's gonna happen, or whatever the case may be. So that was always in the back of dude's mind, like, yo, we need to investigate why this ain't play out the way it played out. And like I said, we loved our nigga. We loved P. It was like, yo, it just never got down to it, because I guess for us, we wasn't really stressing it, but we was stressing it because we was making tons of money already. So, when you making a bunch of money, you kind of like ain't worrying about the money that you already put in, but you still know it's there. But it's like, yo, that ain't really no big money. But it's like, once you start hearing that, Wu-Wear is creaming it, automatically you like, yo, but you don't bring it to P, you bring it to the management, and you bring it to RZA, because the RZA is the leader at this point. And like, yo, you the one that told us to pop off like this. So what's really going on? So typical brotherhood shit. We got past it a little something. P came back to the table and, spoke his piece on how things was going, and eventually it worked itself out, However it worked out. I never got my 40 joints back, but I loved them so much that it was like, fuck it. We'll move on.
Well, one of the things you said was that when you had issues with RZA and you would sit down and talk to him, you actually compared RZA to a cult leader, and saying that after a couple of hours, he would almost brainwash you to go along with whatever he originally thought.
I'm talking about in minutes, man. I'm talking about he's one of them. Like, you could be super tight at RZA, and the minute you see him and you start addressing the situation and you look him in his eyes and he start talking to you with mannerism and respect, because RZA, he always knew how to control his emotions. So he never was like us when it came down to really spazzing or whatever. RZA was well balanced when it came to, you know, how he dealt with his emotions. So, you know, once you're talking to a brother you love and at the same time put you in the game to get you where you at, he know how to spin shit around. So, you know, next thing you know, you find yourself just agreeing to shit that you really ain't even, you didn't come to agree with this shit. You already had your mind made up, but you looking at this nigga like, damn, I love this nigga, man. Like, yo, man, for real? Like, that's how me and you, that's how we doing this? And then next thing you know, he figure out a way to, you know, fix shit in his own way. Where it's like, yo, we'll fix it, we'll get it right. But I don't know, it felt like a love-hate relationship even back then. So for me, it was like, okay, I see that the love is overpowering the business. And do you accept that? You know, I had to sit there and say to myself, do you accept that? And sometimes I didn't, and sometimes I did. So it was like me having that split personality, like, nigga on this side, like, yo, fuck that. And this side's like, yo, it was a great opportunity, bro. Be blessed that you here. You know what I mean? You could be somewhere else. You could be wherever. Here it is. This man has given you the opportunity to live out your dreams. So a lot of times, us being good brothers too, good fellas, like really caring about each other for real, you kind of say, yo, fuck the money, fuck that. I love this nigga from the heart. So it was a lot of that pendulum swinging shit where one day it's like this, next day it's like that. You know, and I think every group, every crew has been in these situations before where it's like, damn, you love your nigga, but then at the same time, you may not be in love with him when it come to business. We had one of those relationships, me and RZA back then.
Right, because there's a part in the book where you told RZA, like, yo, there's a problem with the system and the structure. And he said, you're wrong. It ain't the system. The system is fine. It's y'all.
It's us. I could never respect that. You know, because now you pointing fingers. Now you trying to throw it back on us when in all reality, you are part of us. So it's all of us. So where you get this you shit from? You know, and you know, like I said, I would say the same thing to the boys too, because I'm a vocal nigga. You know what I mean? When it come to me feeling some kind of way, I gotta say something because I'm hearing the chatters in the house. So when you hear the chatters in the house, it's like, yo, the fuck are we doing? You're like, yo, let's get to it. Let's find out what's going on. You know, and a lot of times it was always the love that we had and the respect there that the business got way caught up in it. And a lot of times it's like I said, you feel like, yo, damn, I don't really want to spaz on my niggas because I love these niggas. And at the same time, we built something so beautiful that the world is attracted to it. So let it go. You know what I mean? Let it fly. It's gonna fix itself. That's always our thing because we look at where we came from and where we going. So when you know where you going, you don't let the little things get in the way of where you going because you see a big picture. But sometimes the little things mean a lot. One little thing could turn into another fucking little thing. And then now you got 17 little things that become a big fucking problem now. You see where I'm going?
Yeah.
And that what was going on with this family, with this assembled family. Assembled.
Well, at one point, Old Dirty Bastard goes to prison. And what I didn't realize was that near the end of his stint at Rikers Island, Wu-Tang Clan actually showed up at Rikers Island and performed with Old Dirty Bastard in prison. How epic of a performance was that?
Oh man, it was love all over again. You know what I mean? It was like doing the first show ever, you know, but dealing with the fact that your brother is up in the pen and you know, just really wanting to support him and say, yo, let's do something for the whole jail because we knew that a lot of jail niggas loved us and he was in there. So it was our way to go visit him, pay respect to the jail and give the inmates some love. Give them something that they may have never got an opportunity to see before. And I remember, the warden and them was saying like, yo, that y'all had the whole house, y'all had the whole building behaving for a couple of months. Like, cause they told them like, yo, we gonna come up. If y'all fuck this up, you know how they do you. You know what I mean? They gonna do you like school. Like, yo, you be good, we gonna take you to here. So they said everybody was on chill mode and shit. And they kept telling us like, yo, everybody was waiting for this. Boom, boom, boom. And I remember them saying, don't get in the crowd with them because we can't hold no responsibility if something happened or whatever. So we was like, all right, cool. And once the show started, we jumped right in the crowd and started rocking. Everybody's rocking. So, they let it fly. They was like, all right, well. But when I tell you, yo, man, that was a good time for us because we loved each other so much and we loved our brother and we just wanted to be there for him in any kind of way. And I remember that was the only time we went to go see our brother ODB, rest in peace.
Yeah, and I think there was a line in the book that really it really hit me in the heart where you said losing ODB was like Wu-Tang Smile losing a front tooth.
Yeah, because believe it or not, and I tell people all the time, because I was fucking with RZA and Old Dirty before the group was even came to fruition. So I knew the relationship that they had and how RZA was more a shy type of fella and Dirty was more of an outspoken fella. So when it came time to forming this group, Dirty was the battery. He believed in us. And he also kind of threw a battery in RZA's back to do it even more. Kind of like letting RZA know like, yo, listen, this shit is way bigger than what you think it's going to be. So I'm telling you, whether you want to half step with it, you can't half step with this. So he always was the battery pack when it came to the motivation of building this crew. So if Dirty was the type of nigga, if he'd say, yo, I don't want Chef involved with it, Chef wouldn't be involved with it. He could call that shot because he had more of a relationship with RZA at that time. But it seemed like all the men that became a part of this crew, Dirty co-signed him. Dirty knew he was ill. Dirty knew, yo, he run up on him, you a ill motherfucker. You know what I mean? Make you laugh. So Dirty was definitely the smile to us, the spirit. He was saying back then, Wu-Tang rock the world, nigga. Yo, we going here. And we would laugh because it's like, you start thinking the niggas just being too hype. Like, stop it, nigga. You just rocking a big pair of drawers right now. You stop fronting, man. Like, we don't know that yet. But he knew it. He knew something that we didn't know. So we always looked at him as the wick. I call Dirty the wick. Yo, boom. Yeah, this is how you light it. Then the bomb is gonna go off. Boom. And that's just what happened. So I knew that their relationship was crazy close. But Dirty, he knew how to produce. He was making beats. He was doing hooks. He was throwing lines in here and there. And everybody took heed to what he felt. Because that's how the clan is. It's like when you sit there and you think about how important it is to pass that test when it came to that song, you only look for certain niggas to co-sign it. And I remember it being Jizza, because Jizza was always the sharpest to us. He made niggas step they gun game up. Dirty, because Dirty was super ill and charismatic, and he had everything that a rapper would have wanted to have back then. So us being fresh off the block, it's like, yo, we trusting you. We trust y'all niggas. Yo, did I do my thing? You killed that shit. Nah, do it over. This, that. Like, I tell people all the time, like, yo, my nigga told me to write over Cream. You know what I mean? And it was like, oh, shit, word? But everybody else just saluted it. Everybody else, 21 saluted me. But my nigga was like, it's all right. I'm like, what you mean it's all right? He like, it's all right, but I think you could do better. You know what I mean? So that was the kind of chemistry that the crew had. It was like honesty at its finest back then when it came to making these songs and creating this movement.
Well, at one point, you actually had a meeting with Q-Tip and Leonardo DiCaprio about doing a Wu-Tang movie. The NWA movie had come out, it had blown up. Next thing you know, NWA is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So Leonardo DiCaprio was with it. He was ready to help produce it, but ultimately it never happened, and it became the Hulu series instead.
Right.
When you look at that situation, what exactly happened? Why do you think the movie didn't happen? Because all the series is dope. I think the movie would have been a lot bigger.
Now that's your opinion, the same way how I felt like my opinion was making sense. I'm just, me, I'm just looking at numbers. I'm looking at, numbers. I'm looking at popularity, all of that. I wasn't really thinking from a series perspective and looking at how movies are taking a hit according to television series and, shit like that. So I was against it at first. I was like, yo, I think we need to go for the gusto and do a real movie and do it Goodfellas style, do it Once Upon a Time style, like let it be something serious. And at that time, RZA had already was walking the way he was walking with his understanding of how he wanted to bring it out. So I remember having a personal meeting with RZA, and I told them how I felt about it, and I said, yo, I think we would all benefit more from a movie more than what this shit is offering us. Not taking anything away from the opportunity, but I'm just looking at it financially. It could be a better lick for us collectively. Yo, boom. He like, yo, we was offered $10 million. I turned it down. I'm like, you mean to tell me we can't do a movie with 10 million? He like, when he get mad at me, he start calling me my name and shit. He like, yo, Raekwon, what you talking about? Raekwon, listen, yo, boom, boom, boom. I'm like, hold up. You can't make a movie with $10 million. You can't make a movie with $10 million? You serious? Raekwon, you not listening. First of all, how do you make a movie in 10 million? How you make a movie of all of us in 10 million? I'm like, yo, you can make one, man. He was like, yo, it's going to take more than that. So anyway, I'm like, all right, what's the number? He told me the number that he felt we needed to go get. So this is always in the back of my head, trying to realize how my relationships could help, make that happen, because I feel like, okay, if you really think that this can happen, let's go maneuver a little bit. Let's go walk around the park a little bit. We may be able to get that. It's just all about us moving as a unit. So, make a long story short, I was hanging out with Tip one night, Q-Tip, a good brother, very good friend of mine. We was talking, and he was like, yo, I'm hanging out with Leonardo DiCaprio tonight. So I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, that's what's up. We big fans of the homie, We love him. He's a talented actor. He's a good guy. He's a real friend of the family. We know how he felt. So I was telling Tip, like, yo, you think he would be interested? And automatically Tip was like, yo, I'm gonna call him. I think he'll love the idea. So you know me, now my brain is starting to react a certain way. Like, yo, all right, we get this man involved with it. Oh, it's on and popping for real. And we're gonna get a great film out of this. Cause like you said, the NWA situation just transpired and it did great. It did great. I'm talking about from what was invested into it and to what was the back end of everything. It did excellent. So this is where my mind is at. So next thing you know, Tip called me back and say, yo, Leo want to talk to you. He said, yo, we're going to meet up at this old Italian restaurant in Park Slopes. Boom, just be there, whatever. So I'm like, I bet. You know what I mean? I was in the city. Pull up. It was Leo there, cooling. He had about 4 people with him. He had Tip there. I walked in, super love. was talking about it. Leo just kept staring at me like, yo, do you think this really could happen? I'm like, yo, I know it can happen. I just need you to come in and basically give me your word that you're going to do everything in your power to make this one of the illest movies that it deserves to be. And he was like, yo, Shep, you got my word. So now Leo throws his peoples in the loop because I guess he was moving around and doing a film. But his peoples was staying on top of me like, yo, we want to set up a meeting with you and RZA and let's get down to the real deal of how we can make this work. You know, so next thing you know, we met up in Beverly Hills. We met up with Leo's team, his production team. RZA was at the meeting, so RZA really took the meeting on the strength of myself, but also he took the meeting to see if it really was what I'm talking about. So next thing you know, we sitting there, blah, blah, blah. They saying, yo, we interested. This is what we want to do. Cause you know me, I'm throwing out there, yo, we're gonna want to have an all-star cast of people involved with it. You know, I'm thinking like, yo, would it be younger guys that'll want to play us, and then eventually, you know, we would all get in it somehow when it was needed. But the key thing was RZA already had an agreement with the people he was already doing something with. So he was staying loyal to his friends. But instead of really looking at the fact that this could be one of the greatest classic movies ever made if we go this way, and we all on it. And all I can remember was, yeah. And then, you know, it didn't happen. And it got to the point where it was like they was calling me, and I just felt like in the back of my mind, yo, you don't want this to happen, bro. You don't want to make it big to where we all could live. You know what I mean? Because now you're talking about something that people may be interested in seeing. You know, but in his eyes, he just kept thinking, yo, series, it's gonna last longer. My relationships, I can't go against them. But I'm gonna hear you out, Chef. And I see that you trying your best to make it bigger for all of us. But I'm just gonna stay on this side of the plate. And that's what he did. And it just got to the point where it was like, you know, I was alone at the table when it came down to making that decision. You know what I mean? And I didn't want to be the bad apple to be like, I don't want to get down with it because I didn't get this situation happening over here. So I was pretty much pushed into doing the Hulu shit, you know? But I just felt like we would have did some real business on this side of the table. We would have all just been in the room together wanting that, but it didn't pan out.
Well,
Still became a great situation down the line.
Right.
You know what I mean? The Hulu shit, shout out Hulu, the team. They did what they did. They did a great job. They went and got the cast, you know, because we didn't have to do a lot of heavy work with this project because it was through the eyes of the RZA. It was his curation of what he wanted this to be. Me, like I said, if I was doing a film, it would have been more serious, more Martin Scorsese style, more Francis Ford Coppola style, if it was me. You understand? Right. Because I feel like, I tell people all the time, when you look at the Hulu shit, it's like drinking the finest scotch, but it got a lot of ice in it. You understand? This one that I would have wanted to happen, this would have been like some 200-year-old scotch shit. Like you drink straight up, though. You know what I mean? That's what I wanted. I wanted the uncut, not the West Side Story version. I wanted the Goodfellas, the Godfather version. I wanted the Scarface, all of that. And like I said, it was just one of those situations. I was talked out of it, and I didn't get the support from the family to really go that way. So it was RZA's. He won the war.
Well, I mean, I watched the whole series. I could tell you, this is not just me talking to you right now, the actor who played you and Old Dirty Bastard killed it. I think they nailed it. You know what I mean? And I remember like I had Tyson Beckford on my show. We were talking about it. I'm like, I felt that the actor who played the RZA's character, the accent was just a little too much. The only thing that bothers me about the show is the actor who plays RZA. I feels he tries too hard to do a RZA accent.
Yeah, it's too much. And he's a brilliant actor though.
Yeah. He is. He's a great actor, but I feel like that RZA voice that he does is just not natural.
It's too much, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
You see what I'm saying? Like he was trying to do the RZA voice a little too much and it sounded kind of forced.
He never really sounded like RZA. He never really sounded like RZA at all to me. To me personally, he never sounded like him. He never looked like him. And see, that's another thing. Not to take nothing away from these dope young actors, because I think they did a great job. I think they busting their gun. They doing what they need to do. But for me, I love biopic movies. So it's like when you see certain movies and they playing certain people, like Jamie Foxx playing Ray. You see how he murdered that? You know what I mean? You seen Aretha movie. You seen how Jennifer Hudson killed that. You seen the Temptation movie. You see how they killed that. You feel me? Like, I want to see my movies like that when I sit here and I think about our movie. But these young cats, they came in and they did their thing according to the younger generation, which is part of RZA's his plan of making it be what it is. It's like, yo, Shep, you too much thinking about your generation instead of looking at the young generation. So I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I am. But I think the young is still gonna like it too, though. I'm standing on what I'm standing on, Vlad, because I truly felt that a movie could have been done in 2 hours. You know what I mean? A ill one, though. You know what I mean? Imagine if we'd have had Jamie Foxx, a dirty cop, or Idris Elba playing, a hustler in the street, or, me, I'm thinking of stars. And I know at the end of the day, the relationships that Leo and his company has, I know that was a phone call away. They would have took it to the next level. But instead, RZA wanted to do it his way. This is the narcissist RZA that we all know. He get to talking to you, he get to looking in your eyes, he gonna zap you, bow. That you remember looking at the Flintstones, you look at the alien nigga with the eyes, and he look at Fred and some shit, or Barney, and he go, what's that nigga name, the cartoon nigga? Kazoo or some shit. You never used to watch the Flintstones? How the fuck
I know
niggas ain't watch the Flintstones?
Yeah, to come down an alien and just,
zap shit.
UFO
You know what I mean?
just fuck
but
people
to me, that's how RZA, his lingo was to us. Like, he knew how to zap niggas to be like, okay, we try it that way, RZA. Instead of really being like, Riz, this how we could generate, though. I get what you're doing, though. I get it. So, not to take anything away from him on the creative side, because, like I said, Riz is a genius. Nobody can't take that away from him. He done did classical shit. Do we all agree on that? Absolutely. Yep. So I say it's like, Riz is like that, he's like that coach on the Patriots. What's my nigga name? The coach?
Oh, you're talking about, hold on.
What's the coach that be taking them niggas to the Super Bowl? Belichick. Riz is like that. He won so many rings that it's hard to really tell him that, yo, bro, you ain't gonna win a ring with this one, but you might, according to your strategies. So we wind up winning a ring with his strategy. But I just think that with this one, it would have made the Wu movie would have been crazy. Cause I'm telling you, I loved NWA movie. I loved the actors in it. They was getting busy. They had the faces. They had all of this, all of that. It's like with the Hulu shit, it was me sitting down with my kid and watching it and feeling good about seeing it because it ain't too crazy. So I guess that was his main goal. We don't want to make it too crazy. But guess what? You know how you look at Narcos and you see like it's like 5 Narcos out?
Right.
You're going to get ready to see the next version of the Wu-Tang story through the next man's eyes. You know, God willing, you'll see something like that coming from another member one day, you know? And all I kept
Dope.
thinking is with this book might walk me into that situation because I really kind of like felt like I really was in a cinematic mind frame, you know, just doing the book as well. So.
Well, you know, you talk about, you know, Goodfellas and the Mafia movies, and the Mafia theme has always been very big in your verses, and especially growing up in Staten Island, that's always been a Mafia headquarter, you know, with all the people that you know, all the Mafia dudes I've interviewed. And I guess when you were coming together doing the Cuban Links project, originally, the project was supposed to be called Wu Gambinos. But then Steve Rifkin's father, who is somewhat affiliated with the Mafia, got a call from the actual Gambino crime family. Raekwon wanted to call the album, instead of Only Built for Cuban Links, he wanted to call it
Wu Gambinos.
But then a phone call came in from the actual Gambinos. Tell me about this.
My father called me. Somebody called him and said they heard that, and they didn't want the name, you know, to keep that name out.
Yeah, the Gambino Mafia, one of the 5 founders.
I mean, so that was, I don't know, like, I stayed out of that, and I told Ray, well, I guess Ray says it in the book, or
yeah, right, says in the book, yeah. Yeah, basically you said like, we can't use this name. And he's like, yo, we cannot use this name. What would have been the repercussions if you had used the name?
I wasn't taking a chance.
Yeah, I mean, you know, they was like, yo, you can't call no albums that, you know? And this was a conversation that I had with Rifkin, you know, because, you know, Rifkin's pops, rest in peace. It's like we talking about a lot of people right now that perished is in heaven, so we want to salute everybody because a lot of people that we talking about are not here today. So I definitely want to, you know, give them their flowers and say rest in peace. But yeah, Steve Pops, he was connected. He had a lot of relationships. So I remember me enforcing the title on Steve and saying, yo, this is what we want to call it. We want to call it Wu Gambinos. And he like, yo, I'm going to look into that. And I remember him coming back to me and saying, yo, it's not happening. I'm like, what you talking about? What do you mean it can't happen? Gambino men, what? He was like, it's not going to happen. I was like, you serious? He was like, yeah, it's not going to happen. You know, and he just told me like, yo, they not having that. And if they are having that, then you know what they having. Once he said that, we ain't having it. So the name automatically was dismissed, you know, and we started to think of what we wanted to call it.
Right. Well, you actually had a song though, Wu Gambino's on the project. So they're okay with the song, but not the whole album.
Right, exactly. I mean, you know, at the end of the day, you know, a song is a song, but when you start, you know, using somebody's likeness or whatever on that level, you know, it could have been a situation where, you know, now you got to take a conversation, you got to take a meeting behind this. Like, how you just gonna use that name like that and run with it? You know what I mean? So, you know, it was something funny to me because I'm like, I'm doing it anyway. But then it was something like, nah, Steve, you ain't with it anyway. So even if we wanted to bum rush and do it like that, we can't do it like that because you ain't even down for it. But, you know, back then our mentality was, we'll take the risk. Fuck it. But, you know, like I said, being young and kind of like a little immature, not really understanding business to the fullest, we had to second guess that motion and be like, you know what? Don't do it. All right, so we wound up calling the album Only Built for Cuban Link Niggas. You know, that chain, you know. Any nigga in our hoods that we knew back then that was rocking big Cubans, and I'm talking about long chains with eagles on it and, you know, dinner plate pieces and all of that. All these dudes was respected. They was well-respected men, and they had families around them that were loyal to them. So for me, the idea of rocking a Cuban, it showed a certain level of strength, respect, earnings, reputation, you know, men at its finest, getting busy. We always wanted that lifestyle. So, you know, it was like, yo, we gonna call the album Only Built for These Dudes, because these dudes is gonna understand what we're talking about on these albums. What we're talking about on this album, rather. You know, this album was, to me, was a hustler's nursery book. You know, dudes that, you know, are here today, dudes that's not here today, dudes that got hit with 15 million years, dudes that got a 1 to 3. You know, I just felt like this album was to pay respect to them, because at one point we was out there in the streets and trying to make $1 out of 15 cents. So this album to me was like, it taught me how to be a man, a businessman, a hustler. You know what I mean? A nigga that know how to get fly, throwing silks. You know, this was back when the game, everybody wasn't rocking silks and all that. You might have had Kane and Rakim only at that time, probably taking it there. Ice-T, of course. Ice-T is a fly nigga. You know, certain niggas, I ain't gonna say it was just Rakim and Kane. There was a couple other cats that was crispy like that. But I just wanted to take it to that level to where we were paying respect to those kind of guys and bringing that whole vibe back to hip hop, you know, because when you get on from out in the street, automatically you want to reward yourself. So that was our way of rewarding ourselves. Yo, let me go just go get some shit made, or, you know what I mean, throw some custom shit on, or, you know, do shit like that, because you earned it now. You know what I mean? You put your work in now. Show where your money is going. You know what I mean? Remember the first time I seen the Benz was with Rakim back in the I Ain't No Joke video. Oh shit, jumping out, velours on, Half Moon Caesars, big chains on, Eric B dripping. I used to go to Union Square to see these niggas get it in like that, because we had to see it in real life. Seeing Slick Rick, red Bally's on this show. Next one, he got the sky blue ones on, yellow. He got the yellow ones on. Oh, the next thing you know, he came with the Kangos and the mink coats and fur coats. Like, that was the era that was getting busy before we was getting busy, our era. So you got to understand how much that we were so infatuated with that lifestyle, not knowing that later on this would become the manual to a rapper's lifestyle now. Now, every rapper in the game, once they get in, they show their rewards through this way. They throw on the Cubans. Thank you to all the Cuban Link niggas out there. Thanks for seeing that vision. I love you for that. But you get where I'm going? It's all about seeing your benefits and your rewards. That's what you came into business for, to reward yourself. And that's why the name Cuban Links, it meant so much to us, because it was like, yo, you getting that reward now for all of the hard work and all the shit you did. Here's your rewards now.
Well, yeah. And with that album, Wendy Williams went on the radio and said there's a new king in New York, Raekwon the Chef. And that's a very heavy crown to have on your head. Considering, I mean, look at who was in New York at the time. Nas, Biggie. Was Jay out during that time?
Jay
Maybe
probably
not.
he was probably just starting to resurface though.
Yeah,
maybe like a year
you see
later.
What I'm saying? Like,
yeah. Yo, that shit was crazy to me, because I had just got a condo and shit. You know, I think I had bought me a Lexus back then. I had you remember the convertible joint, not the convertible, the coupes. You know, they just changed the bubble on it, and I had one of those. And condo, you know what I mean? I was just saving up my money. Like, you know, we was making money, of course, back on the Inch of the 36, but this right here, now my money is starting to add up. And I remember going in the bathroom and I just bought this ill polo robe, had all kind of lifesaver colors of this shit. I'm in the mirror looking at it, and I'm listening to the radio, and I heard Wendy say that shit. It felt good, Vlad. It felt like, you know what I mean? I never asked to be the king. Keep it 100. It wasn't my thing. I was already a king in my own world. But when she said it, that's when I realized, yo, this album New York must really be talking about this album. And eventually, other cities started talking about it. VA, Philly, Connecticut, upstate, all the way to Buffalo, all the way to Canada. Everybody started talking about this album, so it made me feel good, and it really showed me that when you put your mind to something, you can make it appear, and that's what we wanted to do at that time. And like I said, to have my brother featured on it, Ghostface Killer, nobody wasn't featuring niggas on their solo albums. So we was doing a lot of shit that nobody wasn't doing that eventually became a trend in the game now. Because when you think about Wu-Tang, we always told y'all we came together to eventually form Voltron and then do our own thing. So we never lied to y'all about what the plan was from the beginning. You understand what I'm saying? It's like dealing with the five families in Mafia. It's like, yo, we could sit down and do business. We don't gotta love each other like that, but we can do business because it's gonna benefit all of us. So that was always the plan, was to come in, set it off, click style. Eventually you break down and everybody win and everybody eating. There's more fruit to eat from. You know what I mean? More apples and oranges to pick out of what we had going on.
When you talk about the Wu-Tang, and this really went on in the book a lot, where, like, for example, even on the first album cover, not all the members showed up, which is why you guys are wearing masks, because not all the members are there. Rehearsals, who knows who's going to show up? Meetings, studio sessions, people might show up an hour late, might show up 7 hours late, and so forth. You mentioned how the album you came out with, Shaolin versus Wu-Tang, was sort of a side effect of your frustration with what was happening.
Absolutely.
With the group, basically saying like, yo, I'm almost separating myself somewhat, by putting a title out like that. It's a divisive title.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I remember you even said, like, Divine was a big part of the problem. You said in the book, he has a heart of gold, but was a piece of shit at the same time.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like he knew how to play both sides of the fence very well. Like I said, when you sit back and you think of this organization, it's really like dealing with five families. Everybody's not going to agree. Everybody's not going to be on the same page no more. Because at one point we were. But then after a while, like I said, too many things that are small things that become problems. Now it's too many of them. So you have to say to yourself, you got to take some kind of responsibility, but at the same time, you got to go where the problem is at too. And a lot of times, the problem became with this guy. You know what I mean? With how he was dealing with certain things, or how him and RZA being brothers, how the clan is feeling like at some point, yo, hold up. That's his brother though. You know what I mean? Like, good dude though. But are they trying to one for you, one for me, two for you, 1, 2 for me shit? You start thinking all that shit because remember, we from the streets. So it's like we are going to question things. But like I said, you can't tell us that, yo, you're going to fix something on the album and the next thing you know, it don't get fixed. And then on top of it, dudes don't like what they're hearing, but they still doing it. You still doing it, but you don't like it. So in a way for them, I guess they felt like it's not that bad because you're still doing it. But in all reality, we going off of, yo, you gonna fix it like you said, right? You gonna hold your word. And that album, we was fucking pissed with it. A lot of us, majority of us was like, yo, the shit is an ugly baby right here, B. Like, yo, it's an ugly baby, my nigga. But yo, that's our baby. We love him to death, but that's an ugly one, But yeah, man, you know what I mean? It just got to the point where I was, me being the chef, being vocal, wanting to sprinkle as much as I could sprinkle to help facilitate the whole family. Because I don't know, I guess I'm just I'm a real team player, my nigga. So that's how I felt. I always want all of us to win and shine together. But I'm telling Raw, like, yo, look at your men. You know what I mean? They ain't feeling good. Me and him would have a lot of arguments behind this, and to the point where I become a threat. I become that John Gotti figure talking to Paul now, and really not really liking Paul, but I still respect Paul. You get where I'm going with it?
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Gotti and Paul. You know what I mean? Whatever it is what it is. But all I'm just trying to make a point to you that me and RZA had a lot of turbulence because I was speaking for the family, but the family wasn't really letting RZA know what they felt. So it just got me to the point where it's like we can't come out with another album that ain't gonna hit because it don't have our sound. So guess what? I'm gonna go do one on my own. Cause I was in my bag at that time. I was feeling a little, not appreciated as an active member of this family when it came to being creative musically. I didn't feel like I was being respected as a boss. So I decided to make one on my own. I decided to walk away from Wu-Tang Clan to a degree. Like, yo, I ain't even Wu no more. I'm just a Shaolin nigga right now. Now, remind you, it was a movie called Shaolin vs. Wu-Tang. Same situations happen. Same situations in its own little way. You got to look at the movie to see that, yo, we are living in that same world, but just in a musical world. Confrontations. Loyalty ain't capital letters no more. Understandings is not being understood. The music is not making everybody feel like they want to go in because you're not inspired. And you're not saying you're not inspired. Somebody has to say something. I'll take that.
Yeah, because I remember the one thing that really struck me when reading through the book was when you guys were working on your second album, you said that certain members started saying that other people's verses were trash to their face. And you even caught yourself doing that once or twice.
Oh yeah, but that's the gift when it comes to Wu, because we was always on top of each other. It's like teaching your brother how to fight or how to hold his hands up and say, look, watch your left. When you throw your shit, you gotta have your hands up a certain way. You don't just fight with your hands down. So that's us sharpening steel sharpening steel. So after a while, brothers wasn't in the room together, writing together. Now it's, one nigga over there in the corner, other nigga in another room. It's like everybody ain't giving it the 200 that we once gave it before because of the energy of the production that was being played. We ain't talking about all the brother issues. We're just talking about the music now. The music is not really clashing the way it used to. So, it's gonna get fixed. Just chill, relax, keep your shirt on. We're gonna fix it. We're gonna change it. But then nothing gets changed. And then everybody got something to say. So, typical group shit. Some niggas gonna believe, some niggas gonna be like, nah, that ain't it. And that's just what it was with us. We wore our hearts on our sleeves. So, what I've learned is that everybody is not going to be boisterous when it comes to certain things. You might have a good listener. You might have a good talker. You might have a good understanding maker. This person, he knows how to make us all understand. So we was just dealing with that kind of organization then. And we wasn't feeling good about it. We felt like we was losing stripes in the game. Stripes is being ripped off. That wasn't it. How many stripes you gonna take off of me? You know what I mean? So it was very serious for us to give the world our best shit. And we just felt like at that time, we wasn't giving y'all that.
Last question before I let you go. You guys were there at the Source Awards when Suge got on stage and was like, for all y'all artists who don't want the CEO all up in your videos dancing, come to Death Row. And
Yep.
that set off a chain of events, I feel. that a few months later, Hit 'Em Up drops, and then Vibe called it the East-West War. And I remember when I interviewed Tretch, and he blamed Vibe for that whole situation.
Mm-hmm.
He said people weren't talking about East Coast, West Coast beef, until Vibe coined it.
When you got that motherfucking Vibe magazine, right? Where you see Big and Puff on the cover, East versus West. When I saw that fucking cover, I said, man, what the fuck is going on? Gangsters don't read articles. Niggas on the East Coast like, yo, it's on. Wait till them West Coast niggas come out here. West Coast like, oh, it's on. Wait till them East Coast niggas come out here. So it baited up a whole shit that fucking went down that had just so many cycles of all Biggie followers and riders, all Pac riders, motherfuckers that didn't even know neither one of them, gangster ass motherfuckers. It could have really turned into a motherfucking East Coast, West Coast war.
Right.
And then Tupac gets killed. And then the day after you guys squash the beef with Biggie, Biggie gets killed. And being in the middle of all that, and it's not like anyone dissed Wu-Tang, it ain't like anyone dissed Raekwon, but you guys were in the middle of it, and you guys saw the moment that it all set off. When you look at that particular night and the chain of events that happened afterwards, what are your thoughts on it?
We was definitely, feeling like at the end of the day, it's being thrown out of proportion now. It's starting to make it seem like it's like this with each side, with East Coast and West Coast, when in all reality, East Coast and West Coast ain't had nothing to do with it. This is a situation that has something to do with, two crews, two rival teams. We know Puff and them was creaming them back then. And Death Row, at that time they was doing they shit. So you know how it go. It's like you go to a new city. Nigga might know you a New York nigga, or may know you Atlanta nigga, or may know you a West Coast nigga, but that shit probably ain't gonna get you by over here like that. You get what I'm saying? So it just was something that got blown out of proportion due to media on how they was carrying it, because they realized, yo, these niggas is from the West Coast doing their thing. They win. It's a great story. Who don't like a fucking great story? And then you got people that feed into shit. We fed right into it. You know what I mean? It's like if we go to a fucking club together, the whole Wu, everybody got this thing like, yo, we fucking imbeciles. You know what I mean? Yo, them niggas is gonna jump on your back and bite you in the neck and this and that. And then when they get to meet us, it's like, damn, y'all some real respectable, loving guys. But it's the image. So to me, the image was taken out of proportion and made it be this and made it be that, instead of it actually really being that situation. Because I don't recall back then a lot of people from the West Coast having problems with brothers on the East Coast and vice versa. We would have knew about it. It wasn't that. It was just a quest for power.
Right, because Wu-Tang members were showing up on Tupac's All Eyes on Me.
See? You see what I'm saying?
Method Man was on it. Was Inspector Deck on All Eyes on Me? Or maybe there was a verse or something that was not used.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah, I heard that he had that Deck had threw a missile and I guess something happened or whatever, it didn't make the cut. But yeah, we never, us personally, we never had an issue with those brothers. And, like I said, we were all young. You got to remember, it was a lot of youngsters, including ourselves, when we came in the game that was getting a come up on, that came from the same cloth that we came from. So that was our way of getting to know each other. It's based on respect. You know what I'm saying? Suge said what he said, and no matter how much we might have been feeling like it was tension with Bad Boy, the tension went from we don't even got no problems with Bad Boy now. Like, yo, why is this guy right here trying to create something? But we never judged it. It's not our business. We don't know what's going on. They not bringing that shit over here. We gonna keep quiet. But we did feel like, yo, the media twisted this shit up into be something else. You know what I mean? Suge said what he said. He got up there. He said it. Oh, shit. He went at Puff. You know, Puff came back with the gentleman conversation, and they dealt with it however they wanted to deal with it. We didn't have nothing to deal with that. We didn't have nothing to do with that. You understand what I'm saying? But when you start making it an East Coast, West Coast thing, this is where now it becomes a issue to a degree, a small issue. But we always felt like we wasn't a part of it because we had respect from Death Row. We had respect from Bad Boy. Like I said, it was just a competitive sport back in the 90s that had everybody going bonkers, my nigga. Everybody was just bonkers.
You know, throughout the book, you talk about brothers when you mention anyone from the Wu-Tang. Regardless of how you felt about them, the word brothers keeps coming up over and over again. But yet, a lot of the book is talking about the problems you had with RZA and Divine and Power, who you formed a company with, and you claimed that he ripped you off at one point, and so forth. Could there ever be a time in the future? Now I've interviewed You God, and I guess he was suing Wu-Tang at one point. I don't know whether that's still going or not, but there was definitely some bad feelings on his end as well. Is there at all a possibility sometime in the future, next year, 5, 10, 20 years from now, where everyone just gets back together and it's all love, there's no issues, everything's put aside, and you guys come up with a project that you've always wanted to come up with? Is that a possibility, or do you think that there's just too many wounds that are just too deep that can't be, healed up?
I think that it could come back. It could be something great again. You know what I mean? And like I said, just to reiterate, anything that happened within business with my family, sometimes you got to look at yourself too and say to yourself, you got to hold some responsibility on that because maybe you wasn't handling your business the way you should have handled your business. So I'm not calling it robbery. Power ain't robbed me for nothing. Riz ain't robbed me. I robbed myself because at the end of the day, I wasn't being on point with my business the way I should have. You know what I mean? Was my loyalty there for all those brothers? Absolutely. And to this day, it's still like that. But do we still share the same views? No. It's not a mystery. We all men here, so we can agree to disagree. That's with anybody. You can have a twin brother and you can be like, I love you to death, nigga, but fuck you, nigga. You ain't gonna disrespect me. You ain't gonna insult me. And at the end of the day, I'd see you tomorrow and we could go eat some fucking jerk wings and laugh it off and get it out the way. That's how this family is. You know what I mean? Do I think we could come back and cream them again? Absolutely. Do I know when? I don't know. Don't ask me. You feel me? Don't ask me because I don't know. Do I want to see that day? Absolutely. But guess what? It's a lot of shit we want to see that we just got to come to realization that it's not going to happen like that now. They say the older a man get, the more he's stuck in his ways. So if you stuck in your ways to this degree and that's just who you are, I got to accept it. And if I accept it, that means I'm willing to walk into the park and play with you and knowing what I have to accept. So that's how we deal with each other today. But far as the brotherhood, I love all my brothers. You understand? All of them play an imperative, effective role in my life, and we all play, and vice versa. I tell a nigga all the time, nigga, yeah, you might have cooked the food, nigga, but we went shopping. We went and got that shit. You feel me? Ain't no one nigga designed this whole shit. And the day that I start hearing that talk is the day when now it's bothering me because now you're fronting. So this is what you go through with groups. That's why I tell people all the time, they ask me, yo, would you want to make another, would you co-sign seeing another group done in the same fashion as Wu-Tang? I'm like, yo, number one, I don't think it's going to ever happen. And number two, be careful with that because that's a lot to deal with right there. I don't recommend those kind of groups being made no more because it's not easy to put 9 members and the people that believe in you on the same page and think that it's going to stay like that forever. You just got to be on top of your business. So, you know that saying, first time shame on you, second time shame on me. So that's what I live off. I live off of principles and rules. And like I said, I love my brothers regardless of what. regardless of everything we've been through. Would I change it? Would I change time? No. It's a learning process. Because all that shit did was make me stronger. Today, I sell wine. I got a cannabis business, a production company. I wrote a book. My career is still moving. It's a vessel for me right now. And it allows me to go out there and sit around big businessmen and let them see my experiences that I've been through and see how I changed and went from being a young cat that was caught up to now being a guy that has responsibilities and know how to deal with certain situations when they come at me now. Before I didn't. I ain't know how to respect 100,000 and say, yo, do this with it. You can't respect $1. You can't, how the fuck you gonna respect 100,000? Can't respect 100,000, you'll never be able to respect $1 million. You get where I'm going with it? So This is what I feel. It's like it's no love lost. It's like my brothers allowed me to still be here, and I love them for that. So if I'm wrong for yo, do you see the end of you remember that movie Once Upon a Time in America at the end with James Woods? He was like, I did all of this to you, Noodles. What Noodles said? You didn't do nothing to me. He walked away. He didn't want it. He told him, he said, yo, I want you to kill me. Who does that? Yo, I did so much to you. I want you to kill me, nigga. I did everything to you. De Niro in the movie was like, you didn't do nothing to me, Mr. Blah, 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 and walked away, and this nigga killed himself. I don't want that on my back. It's cool. It ain't never gonna be enough money to make me go after or go at my friends that I know that they gave me a shot. I'd rather walk away. But today, we still represent this. That don't go nowhere. And it's cats like y'all and people that's seeing this shit, y'all made us stick together this long. And we appreciate y'all. I speak for all them niggas. So that's how it goes.
That's what it is. Raekwon, man, listen, I've been a fan for such a long time. You could hear it in my stories and my feelings, when I expressed to you, when I listened to certain songs, when I told you in the very beginning how Incarcerated Surfaces was such an important song to me, how that Purple tape was so important, how that first Wu-Tang album really resonated, and how the Wu-Tang symbol is the most recognizable symbol in all of hip hop.
That's right.
There's lots of other dope symbols out there, but in terms of that Wu-Tang sign, there's nothing like it. And the group that you helped put together, there's never going to be anything like it. This is why in 2021, there's still movies, there's still series, there's still the Mikes and Men documentary. I heard there's going to be spinoffs, like the ODB story might have its own thing, which I can't wait to watch.
Purple tape files, all of this shit, what I mean? It don't stop because at the end of the day, my nigga, we realize we got our own planet. And, when you think of Wu-Tang, you got to look at the Super Friends and how they go out there and they deal with different situations and stand with their chin up and their head high. That's just what we doing. But it's tons of things that's still going to take place. It's not over. When we told the world it's forever, it's forever. Because now you got these young kids that's younger than us, coming in and they understand. They been there. They making their money. They got their crews. They going through it. They going to learn from what we've been through. But the key thing is to learn how to still appreciate the people that appreciated you. That's why we tell our kids today, treat people how you want to be treated. Because if you give them this, they're going to give you that. You know what I mean? You be good to people, they're going to be good to you. So that's the same energy when it comes to dealing with crews. Just be on top of your business. That's the key thing, and know how to balance it. We love the niggas that care about us, but don't take advantage of a good man. You know what I mean? And just be genuine. Speak. You can't, if you ain't saying nothing, you can't expect somebody to always know what you feel. Can't hold it in. This is what we did at some point, but I'm still down for the love. Love is more powerful than money. Anytime. Loyalty, love. Those are my principles, bro.
Right. And at your age, this is why you still you know, you still are who you are. You're still getting booked all over the place.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? People are still, you know, you had multiple projects only built for Cuban Links Part 2, which was dope. Dr. Dre contributed to it, as well as a bunch of other dope producers.
Absolutely.
How people like 2 Chainz, who
Absolutely.
you used to buy weed from when he was Titty Boy,
Yeah.
you know, blew up and
Yeah.
started doing verses for you later on.
That's my
you
brother
know,
right there.
People
yeah.
like Busta Rhymes still fuck with you. And
Family.
you know, Kanye, let's not forget Kanye
That's
went
right.
and
That's right.
scooped you up.
That's right. Family. I call these brothers, you know, family, man, because they was there for us. And, you know, that's just an extension of our family. But a lot of these dudes we respect to the fullest, you know. Like, I'm gonna tell you this story real quick. Like, you know, I remember seeing Jay-Z back when he was just getting started, and we were coming in to do a show. And I remember Hov was just on the side, just being real cordial, and he caught my attention, and he told me, say, yo, man, I respect what you guys are doing, man. Like, a lot of love for y'all, man. And I turned around, yo, thank you, good brother. You know what I mean? Not really knowing too much about him. And look what I see my brothers doing, man. I'm so proud of guys who really came in and did what they were supposed to do, especially from our generation, you know, that's making tons of bread and giving out jobs and empowering their people. So when I see that, I know that hip hop did something great for all of us, including you. So my time is up. You know what I mean?
That's what it is. Raekwon, man, thank you so much for coming back in. Let's not let another decade pass, you know, until our next interview, man.
Absolutely.
Wish you and your kids and
Thank
all your
you.
loved ones the best, man.
Same
Until
to you,
next time.
Vlad. Same to
Salute.
Luke. Same to you. Salute. You got it.
Peace.
Peace.